To the regularly scheduled planning board meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from May 27th.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And I'll abstain, Ann, because I wasn't here. Item number 2, disclosure of conflict of interest. Dennis, that's the next item. Anybody have any conflicts that they wish to disclose? Hearing none. Item number 3, Dennis Brockway is requesting approval to add an additional self-storage building at 112 Webb Road. Hi, Jeff.
Jeff Allen from A. Hudson Engineers. And this is the third time I've been back to with this project. Mr. Brockway wants to add a third unit up here. This is a project that was originally approved in 2021. And this unit was built here first, and then last summer he built another unit here after getting approval. And now he wants to come back and build another unit back here, kind of perpendicular to the first two. We're still under an acre of impervious area. There's no water or sewer connections. It's a pretty simple project. One thing I did add that's not on the plans that I sent to the city earlier is the small walkway right along the side of the building here. What that's for is if he is contemplating doing a temporary or climate-controlled storage. And to do that, he would just have one center aisle down the middle of the building with storage units on both sides. If he doesn't do that, then his original thought was to do just single-sided loading here. And he would do something like boat storage or, longer, skinnier units. But anyway, it's the same size as, or a little bit smaller than we had before. It looks like 92 by 32. 32 is his sweet spot for building these units. So the other units are all 32. This is just a little bit shorter. So that's the project.
Okay, questions for Jeff? None?
No.
Any members of the public? Okay. Do we have a findings and facts for this, or?
The last time this was approved, the board did not refer back to the findings of fact.
Okay.
Because the only thing that was in question was the landscaping, and I think at the time the board decided that there wasn't any landscaping necessary because the developer owns the land to the south and to the west, and to the east is the landfill.
Okay.
But you could just, for the sake of clarity, refer back to that original findings of fact. So approve with, subject to the conditions of the earlier findings of fact. David knows what the date is. Let's see, November,
I do.
I think.
November 23rd, 2021. So I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve with the same conditions from the November 23rd, 2021 findings and facts.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Item number 2 is informal pre-application review for an 8-lot residential subdivision on Drummond Ave.
And this property is on the west side of Drummond Ave, way up near Fairfield. I think there are 4 or 5 units beyond this, but or 4 or 5 lots beyond this. But it's right The property currently extends from up here all the way down to here. It's about a 13-acre parcel, and this is the same one that was rezoned by the city, or partially rezoned by the city a few weeks ago. Roughly 2/3 of it is now zoned residential B, with 1/3 left in the original industrial zone, this part down here. So what Mr. Brockway is proposing to do now is add some residential units up there. Right now, we're showing 8 double wides or modular homes on the simple cul-de-sac with a turnaround. I've reached out to the water and sewer departments, who both have service in the area. They're able to handle this. The uncertainty right now is he may decide to put 2 fourplex units in here. There's a modular design that he's looking at. It would still be the same number of 8 housing units. And that has been approved or accepted by the water and sewer. But this is the current plan that he has now. And as far as I know, we're going to go forward with this one.
Jeff, are these single-story, two-story? What are you thinking?
If he goes with the apartment-type units, the modular apartments, they would be 2-story. These are all single-story double wides, is what he's envisioning here.
So he's planning to rent them, not
Yes,
sell?
yeah, and this would be sort of a multifamily design, because the property extends back, I think it's around 1,200 feet from Drummond. We're just using the front portion because in behind the units here is a stream running through that goes into, Mrs. Beveridge knows the name of this brook that goes out of there, or did. You've told me this before.
You put her on the spot.
Is it- Yeah, but it's this,
I always bring my.
Your big map, yeah.
Always, but tonight isn't, but I never looked at it.
Is it Holland Brook?
There you go.
Yeah.
Very good.
You cheated.
Oh, yeah, I'm using Google Maps.
oh, I just zoomed in.
I don't think he knows it off the top of his head.
I thought, wow, he's good.
I used to fish there as a child.
Yeah.
No.
So that's what it is now, and there's a turnaround here that would be compatible with fire department needs. The water and sewer will come out here. The closest connection for the sewer is actually on Montcalm Street, which is this street across here. And what we do is run it by gravity here and then pump from there up to the force main going up to Montcalm, the end of Montcalm Street. For the sewer, the water runs right up and down Drummond Ave, so you could tap into that wherever.
So Jeff, you said these would be, so each of these buildings would be multifamily?
No, with this design, they're single-family,
Okay.
double wide.
Yep.
If he goes with the fourplex unit, there'd be like one on each side of the road with some common parking, and it would be a much simpler design.
Yep.
But this is
But in both scenarios, they're rental?
they're rental units
Yep.
to serve approximately 8 families.
Yep, okay.
What's the address, Jeff, of the?
I don't believe it has an address yet. It's map 68, lot 9.
Okay.
So I don't believe an address has been assigned at this time.
Jeff, is the proposed road and the proposed units, are they
Oh, okay.
roughly at the same grade as the road? There's no steep slope or?
No, it drops off. This is sort of the high point of the land here, and it drops off a little bit as you go in. So this end of the road, the far end of the road will be 5 or 6 feet lower than Drummond Avenue, hence the need to pump with the wastewater.
So the entryway, that's right, it looks like right across from Wolf Street? Is that-
Yes.
Okay.
Are you proposing a paved drive or?
I'm not sure if he's planning on paving or would be a gravel. We've got ample room at the end for a dumpster and for snow storage.
Is there any like landscaping plan or anything, or?
Not at this point till we
Okay.
really know what we're putting in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know if the plan is to do all of this all at the same time?
I believe so, yes.
Yep.
I know he wants to get 1 or 2 units on initially to get things rolling, but once this is approved, I think he wants to do it all at once,
Yep,
simply to create the additional housing.
sure.
And this parcel is a total of about 9 acres. We are getting it surveyed. We do need to get a boundary survey, so I'm not sure when I'll be coming back with this.
Okay.
So it's whenever the surveyor can get out there. We'll do the boundary survey, and at that time, the same time, I'm going to have the surveyor show us where that bottom line is that divides the industrial from the commercial, or from the residential.
Okay. Like tentatively, you have what, 2
It's-
spots for each?
Yeah, there's 2
Building?
spots for each 2 parking spaces for each unit.
Okay. And if we ended up with like a bigger, a 2-story or something, more units, like, do you have a plan for parking with that, or?
No, I haven't done a layout for
Okay.
but there would be fewer buildings. So
Okay, gotcha.
There'd only
So-
be like 1 building on each side of the road. And so I assume we do some parking, 4 spaces on each side of the building.
Okay.
Jeff, I believe it's, you're required to have 1 more for every 6 units.
Okay, so,
One more.
yep,
So it's basically going to be 8 units,
yes.
is the goal.
Whether it's
Whether
this
it's-
configuration
or-
or 2 fourplexes.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so we'd probably do a couple extra spaces because it's 1 per 6, and then a little bit more.
People have friends, some people have friends come visit.
Great. Any other questions for Jeff?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, Head of Falls Village LLC is requesting approval for an extension for its mixed-use development at 52 Pearl Street, across the street.
Good evening,
Hi.
Adrienne Fine from Teradyne Consultants. It's been about 2 years since I was last here. This is a pretty simple request. We're just requesting an extension of the existing approval that was approved 2 years ago for the project. Head of Falls Village is a full block redevelopment right next door here on Front Street between Temple and Appleton. And due to kind of the size and scale of the project, that's the reason for the extension request. It's also a soil remediation site, so there are a lot of kind of phases and stages to re-improving this site. So the developer is underway with some of the demolition work, and then next is soil management plan work, where there will be some remediation on site, and then the proposed buildings that were approved will be able to start construction. So I believe it's a 2-year timeframe initially, and we're getting close to that, so we're requesting an extension.
Okay. Any questions for Adrienne?
Do you have a specific extension request in mind?
No, I didn't know that there wasn't a standard, I guess. Is there, I thought there was a standard extension.
No. Typically, they don't extend more than 3 years, but the ordinance doesn't set a limit.
Okay.
So, but the ordinance does require that you begin within a year and finish within 2. So I would say that you can ask to, I'm just suggesting.
Yeah.
That you ask to begin and complete 3 years from whatever your original approval was. So what, you haven't,
So the original approval was in July
it was
20.
July 25th, 2023.
July 25th, 2023. So if you add 3 years of that, just July 25th, 2026, does that work to begin and finish? So in other words, you don't have to start in any particular, you've actually already started.
They've already
but-
started.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be able to complete the construction of 2 story buildings in one year.
Okay.
So can we request a longer extension?
I think you can, yeah, if the board will grant it. But it's not a good idea to extend it out too far into the future in case we change the ordinance in some way and then your new project, or your project doesn't meet the new requirements. So how long were you?
Is your mic on?
Sorry, is that back on? All right. I apologize, I did not realize there was not a standard timeframe for this, so
Before you come up with a date,
yes.
where are you folks with the remediation process?
So the building remediation is underway because some of those buildings have contaminated materials, so in
Right, but
order.
have you selected someone to do the job, or have you set it out to bid? All the bids come in?
So there's multiple stages. So the building remediation work is underway, and then the soil remediation work is going out to bid.
Do you know that's a lengthy project? A process, I should say.
That is expected to be underway this summer, the actual work this summer. So then construction of proposed would begin in the fall. Likely, installing utilities, things like that in the spring, starting building construction. So if we're talking about next summer, I think that having to be done with the construction next summer would be a little soon. So an additional year after that, I would say, would be appropriate.
So what's that date you're saying?
2027.
2020, okay. So we're talking July 25th, 2027? What is a soil contaminant? Is that from the gas station?
I believe so. Yeah, there's multiple different contaminants, and so there's a remediation plan, a soil management plan of any soil that leaves the site has to be disposed of appropriately.
Thank you.
Adrian, the city engineer in his letter requested that you loam and seed the areas which aren't proposed in the Phase 1 development. Is that something you're agreeing to?
I guess, yes, except they're about to be working on digging up the site more. So there will be an erosion control plan as part of that to make sure that they don't, they have erosion controls around the perimeter of the site, downgrade of any excavation. So they probably would not loam and seed right before beginning that. But when that work is done, if they're not about to do the next phase, that would be stabilized either with loam and seed or potentially like a paved or a compacted gravel stable surface. So it wouldn't be loose soil.
So sometime in next year, after they've done the remediation, then they would put the compacted gravel or the loam and seed? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. So if they do that work this summer, which is the plan, and they're not immediately going to be like working on the site continuously, it would be stabilized before winter.
All right.
Tom?
the basis for the request is because of remediation issues. Am I correct?
That's one of the reasons. So this is a redevelopment of an entire block that includes multiple buildings and multiple, parking areas, pavement surfaces. And part of that is also remediating both the demolition of the buildings that have contaminated materials and the soils. And so there's multiple different funding sources being used to fund the different phases of the project, the demolition, the soil remediation, and then the construction. And so that kind of phasing of funding and different steps in the cleanup of the whole city block takes time.
Are you working with Penquist at all with any of the funding for the remediation?
I am the civil engineer on the project. I do not work on the funding. The client, the developers are the ones who've been working with the funding sources. I apologize, I don't know the names.
I can assure you the process of doing not just doing the remediation, but getting through the process of identifying the issues and then finding or selecting a bidder, and then which bidder do you take? You'll have several bidders, and someone will come in rather high, telling you that they can begin maybe in 8 months. Some of them will come in with a lower bid and say, well, we may have to come in a year and a half. I don't feel comfortable at this point in supporting, I'm in support of an extension, but as far as what the length of that extension, I'm a little uncomfortable to just pick a date without having someone come in and say, this is where we are with the remediation issue, and this is when we expect to have that resolved. And that's
Okay, I think there might be a misunderstanding.
Go ahead.
So we know what the issues are.
Yep.
There are multiple professionals from the environmental field who have extensive plans. We also have soil plans that they're like going out to bid next week and to a select contractor. And the funding is already lined up, specific grants for just the soil remediation work. And that's all scheduled to be occurring this summer.
Okay. When the bids are opened, it's not just the amount to do the work, but they'll also have a date in there as to when they can start.
Yep.
Okay, and that's what I'm sort of interested in is,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the developer intends to have that phase of work done this summer, fall timeframe, to be able to then start the next phase, winter,
But
spring.
just to clarify, it hasn't actually been scheduled with the people doing the work yet?
Not the soil piece, no.
it can be, and until the bids come in.
Right.
Once the bids come
Right.
in, it says X
Yeah.
amount of money,
Right.
a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I'm feeling
I'd
that-
like to know.
I'm
Yeah.
feeling the same way as you, Tom. My first reaction was to say, even if we just say a 1-year extension, all that would mean is coming back in a year to give another update and say, here's where we are, we've made the progress that we wanted to make, we need another year.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that makes sense.
which we've done with other projects. So,
Are you opposed to a 2-year extension?
To a 2-year, you
Yeah.
say?
So that means instead of next summer, it's in 2027 is when they would be expected to have the work complete. And if not, we would obviously be back to have an update and a request.
It seems like that's a lot of stuff to do in a year. 2 years seems kind of reasonable, so if we approve the 2 years and they need more time, they can come back. It seems like it's sort of a formality. They're at risk, not, we want the work to be done
right.
and we want to make it as easy for them at this stage to get the work done. So if a 2-year seems to be that's what she's asking for, right?
Yeah, so I didn't know there was an option for us to select. I thought it was just 2 years because it was, the original approval was 2 years. So I thought the extension was another 2 years. So that's why I didn't, when you said, how much are you asking for? I thought that was just the standard, was that we were asking for 2 years. And in conversation with the developer, that meets their intended schedule for work.
So it
I
seems-
understand there could be, changes, then we could come back.
So we're interested in the work getting done and Head of Falls being a success. And so you're telling us that there's no reason that you're aware of at this point that any of that's at risk. It's just, it's going to take longer than you originally thought, but you're making progress on all these fronts.
Correct. And I think part of the reason is the developer applied for some various grants, which took time to then even start the work, to figure out where the funding and which grants they were going to receive and obtain. And now that they've obtained them and are starting work, it's close to the 2-year expiration.
The request for funds for remediation was made, I suspect, some time ago.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
it's all done.
And if you folks are in the same situation that I was in, the funding was suspended for a while. Did that happen with your project? That would give me some reason as to why it has taken the time.
Yep. I'm sorry,
You
I
don't know?
don't, I
Okay.
don't know the answer
Okay.
to that question. I do
Okay.
know that they received funding for, like, the original demolition of building work, and then separate funding was applied for, and it may have, I think they possibly had to go through 2 rounds of applications to get the funding they wanted for the soil remediation work, which is now approved and ready to fund the project.
I agree with my colleague here about getting started. Again, I've moved a little bit. Will support by voting in favor of an extension. But my vote would be conditioned upon the contingency. I'd like to have somebody tell me when the selected bidder can begin. I'd like to at least know that. So that's where I am at this point.
Yep, understood. And it will likely be separate bidders for the soil remediation work and the actual, building construction.
Yeah.
Yep.
So y'all aren't necessarily giving us a lot of confidence in your planning abilities so far. I mean, I know that things have happened and you're coming and asking for an extension, but that's why we're somewhat concerned. I mean, is this the start of a long process, or is this just, well, we'll see. So
What's your question?
I don't have a question, I'm sorry.
okay,
I'm just,
okay.
we're concerned,
Okay.
I think is what, my colleague here has been through this before, and he's seen a lot of things that can go wrong, so now he's raising some points that, we're just concerned.
Yep, I understand.
So we'll give you, it looks like we're probably going to give you the extension that you need, but we're concerned.
Yeah,
Yep.
did you also see the letter from the fire department?
No.
Okay.
Okay, that came in late this afternoon.
Yeah. The site shall remain secure and accessible to the fire department using approved padlocks.
Okay.
An assigned project manager shall be available to conduct periodic walkthroughs as determined by the fire chief to aid in emergency response. And should an emergency occur during the construction phase, NFPA 2.1, blah, 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 for the safeguarding of demolition and construction and renovation.
I emailed that to you late this afternoon.
Okay.
And I received it, so you have it.
Yeah, that's acceptable and fine, and we can
Is
reach
one
out
of
to
the
them.
developers Mr. Alexander?
Yes, Todd Alexander. Yep.
He has developed in Portland,
Mm-hmm.
and I own one of his projects. And I just want you to know, he does excellent work. I expect you do the same over here. So, I mean, I support everything that you're presenting here. It's just,
Yeah, I mean, I understand.
okay.
I understand your concerns because, the site doesn't look much different than 2 years ago, so I understand.
I guess my only concern is, and I hear you when you say, like, you don't want to obviously loam and seed land that you're going to then dig up. Completely understand. But Tom, you have buildings down here, so like, Front Street can flood very fast sometimes. And I think the city engineer's concerns about erosion control and the possibility of runoff are valid and should be something that's considered in this extension. So I don't know, is there something reasonable that could be done? Because, I mean, the less that's on the site and the more that it's disturbed, the more that will occur.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there can be, obviously, when they start the excavation work, they'll put up erosion controls. So it wouldn't be loam and seed, but perimeter fencing, silt fencing, anything to protect downstream, catch basins, things like that. They should have silt fencing in place now, so if that's not in place, that's something that should be put in place by the contractors. Right?
Yeah, and in the letter it says, or treated with an acceptable permanent ground cover.
Yeah.
Right,
And,
it doesn't have to be loamed and seeded still.
Yeah, and I don't think they're opposed to loam and seed of areas that are going to remain kind of undisturbed for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But if they're about to dig soil out of
No,
it, it doesn't.
oh man, I hear you. I'm just wondering, I mean, if it's just gonna sit, through another
Right.
winter, and I think that should be part of this extension is a erosion control plan that the city engineer is comfortable with. I mean, I think we could make that as like a condition, right? They have to present an acceptable erosion plan and timeline, I think, is something I hear Mr. Nail commenting on too, right? Like
Yep.
updated timelines so that we know.
The buildings cannot be taken down until the remediation has been resolved.
So the buildings have contaminated materials in them, and is being taken care of, but it is a process. And then disposal of that, so there's all sorts of approvals you have to get approved, where it can be disposed of, the timeline, the haulers, everything like that, as well as same thing for with the soils. So it's all underway, but it's not going to be done by the end of July. And I just don't have an exact timeline for all of the phases ahead of us.
So I've been taking some notes, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion to extend the completion to July 2027 with the same conditions from the July 25th, 2023 findings and facts, as well as meeting the conditions stated in the letters from the fire department and the city engineer. And I'm also going to ask that we get presented an updated timeline within 6 months to the planning board.
Okay. At a meeting, or is that something
Yep.
that, okay.
Yeah, that would be great at a meeting.
Okay. So not through staff, somebody should come and present that directly to the board.
Would you be okay with her just submitting a memo
An
to
updated-
the board?
Yeah,
Yeah,
She doesn't
yeah,
have to come back?
that's
I
fine.
think that's fine.
Just an updated timeline within 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And again, if it's going to be written, and you're going to submit an updated timeline, I'd like to have, what is your basis for that
Yeah, I
number
think
that
it's
you
seconded.
are asking for? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Sorry, was that Tom?
Yep. Tom Neal. Any members of the public? Okay. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, the fact that no one is here from the public, I can assure you that being a citizen here in Waterville, everyone, no, I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of folks are asking me, and I'm sure some of these others, what's going on next door. So that's why the questions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of concern, a lot of interest. So
Yeah, thank you.
thank you for
And
coming.
Thanks for your time.
Great. And Dosty's Towing is requesting informal pre-application review for office and auto repair shop.
Do you have a PDF here or? I brought, I didn't bring it. I didn't bring a thumb drive, I brought paper with me.
Okay, I'll try to be taking study.
Oh, sorry.
Which do you want to
You
pull
can
up?
do the three. That would-
Okay, what I'll do is I'll give you the mouse.
Yeah. Awesome, thank you very much. Hi.
Hi.
My name's Adam Violet. I work for Plymouth Engineering. We're here, we've been hired by Brock Dosty to look at the option for putting a towing impound facility next to Maurice's Auto Body on College Ave. It originally is a 9-acre lot that is bound here, as you can see. The interesting part of the property is there's a 1.74 acres that lies in Fairfield. Recently, this part of the property where the building, where the auto body has been separated off. So now what is left is approximately a 6.76 acre lot with 1.74 acres in Fairfield and 5.02 acres in Waterville. This is kind of the existing conditions. Plymouth did the original site plan for Maurice's when it was constructed. So this right here demonstrates what we're looking at. One of the items was with the lot, there is some challenges with finding good exposure. We have opted, given what he would like to use, to put the building on the back side of the lot and have access off College Avenue. One of the items you can see is the grading. We've sloped the bank as this back kind of slopes down into this area here naturally. What you'll see is they have a building which is, so our total impervious that we're showing is about 71,386. Of that, 23,494 square feet would be in Waterville. The remainder, 47, would be in Fairfield. The building size is going to be 14,800 square feet. So what you'll see here is this front is where his offices would be. In the back is his shop area. And then off to the left here would be an impound yard to support his business. What we've looked at, and in talking with both Ann and Fairfield, is that we would orientate the building for the shop all in Fairfield, in the impound yard as well. And then we would have the office and the entrance in the Waterville side. It makes it a little bit clearer for tax purposes with those separations. We've also started looking at the drainage. We're treating the site in 3 different areas because of the size of it. So if you kind of look at it as a diagonal, this side plus the impound yard would go to this under drain soil filter. This section would go to this under drain soil filter, and then we would do drainage along the road, sloping so that we're not putting water out onto College Avenue. We do show some, so there was some existing wetland mapping that was done, part of the original Maurice's project. Under this project, we're proposing about 3,900 square feet of impact. It may grow a little bit depending on utilities out to connections to the sewer and the water, out towards College Avenue. We've started both of those conversations, but that is one thing. It's about the way it looks, and in talking to the sewer department, the connections out here for the sewer that are out here on the road are private to Hudamaki, was one of the original conversations. There is a sewer line that runs up through here. There's a basin roughly here and here that we've been looking at for connections. And then water, it looks like you can go towards the road based on what I've been seeing from the other properties. One thing that is very nice about the site is it has adequate sight distance in both directions. The speed limit in this area is 35 miles an hour. In both directions, you have roughly 1,000 feet of clear open space for flatness. And the one driveway is about 25 feet from this proposed, but this one is almost 300 to Maurice's. We are in, so an address has been given to the property. It's going to be called 232C College Ave. And we are in CC for the zoning, which this need would fit within that.
Any issues with the zoning in Fairfield?
No, actually, we've had conversations with them. What we've talked about is where the access and utilities, we would go through Waterville first, get our approval through Waterville, and then we'd go to Fairfield. I have met with Nicole on the project as well as their fire chief, similar to what we had talked to Ann and the information that we provided with them.
Just so I can get my bearings.
Yep.
And I'm certain you made it very clear at the beginning, but I'm going to ask anyways. Where is Morris's right now?
I'm just gonna, I'll make it easy.
Please.
So Maurice's is this building right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hudamaki is here.
What's that?
Hudamaki,
Okay, yeah.
Hudamaki would be right along the,
Okay.
across
And
the road there.
where is the former Joseph's Motors? If you're too young for that.
I think I understand, it's right here between these two buildings here.
Okay, all right, so now I know where we are.
Yep.
Okay.
Saw a reference in one of the deeds, so that's what I.
Yeah.
So we're more at the point where just introducing the project to you folks, seeing if there's any questions, specific concerns. We will then follow the process with Ann to come back with a formal proposal for the project.
Have you done any discussions with your future neighbors?
Not at this time. It's still been kind of exploratory to this point. We want to make sure that it worked both well for Fairfield and Waterville. And as we proceeded, I'm sure those will work through.
Yeah.
How long is that road to the building approximately?
It's roughly 400 feet.
Okay.
It's probably like 380.
Yeah, this doesn't look to abut any residential. It's all commercial in there.
There's actually a parking lot, I think, for one of the Hudamaki
Yeah.
facilities in
Yeah, there
behind
is.
it.
Yeah.
And then there's like I'm not sure what it's like a business office in the front. I didn't check what it's in there.
Yeah, I know that there's, at 242 is Johnny Selected Seeds. So their corporate office, call center, stuff like that.
Is this building basically going to be in that, like, kind of fielded area? Or are you going to have to do some,
It's going to be more
Tree
in the
cutting?
wooded area.
In that wooded area?
Yeah,
Okay.
in the back corner.
closer to College Ave than the Savage Street side? Then, is that, I'm trying to just like see how.
Yeah, so College Ave and then the Hudamak
Yeah.
parking lot is kind of here. And then this is that cross street that goes back. And then it's kind of wooded towards in between
Yeah.
the two roads there.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a pretty good change in elevation there.
yeah. Tom, did you have?
No.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we'd like the building to be all in Waterville, but.
Yeah, yeah, we worked very hard to do that. Looking at the different options within it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. This just kind of shows you what the natural
Oh, yeah.
is right now, and the taper down, kind of in that wooded area, and this is kind of the forested line, so.
Yeah, because that parking lot sits up pretty high.
It does,
Yep.
yeah, so one of the things that we did within, so normally when we do a preliminary plan, we more general it, we don't get into sizing of the ponds and stuff, we're more getting it fixed in. With this one, just with the drainage, some of the elevation and change, we took it to actually sizing the ponds, making sure we could adequately cover everything on that. So you'll see this bank here, all drains down. This is then have drainage ditching along the back. And then we also do a lot of curbing usually with our parking lot so that we can direct the water to the correct places.
You said the building will be in Waterville?
Yeah, so what we did was, this little jut out right here is the office, and then this is the shop. We just got the preliminary plans for I wanted to have something to be able to show you folks, just in case you had questions on what the building might look like. So we just got these preliminarily done today. So I apologize for not having them. Next time in, I'll make sure I bring a thumb drive with everything on it, make it easier. I didn't realize you guys had such nice TV. So this is the general, I'll just hold it up for you guys. This is the general floor plan of the building. To kind of help with orientation, I might hold it upside down. So this is the Waterville side right here. This would be their kind of waiting area, offices, break area, and then we have the bathroom. This would be his shop, to be able to do his repairs. He has an existing facility that's here in Waterville as well that I think he's working out of as a rental spot right now. And then we also did some. It will be a metal building, is what we're thinking. A package building. So this would be the front view that you would see as you drove up to it, then the side views.
Now, just again, for my question, that building there, is it all in Waterville?
No.
No.
Okay.
See this section?
Okay.
See this section right here?
Yep.
This would be the Fairfield line right
Okay.
here. This would be Waterville right here.
Okay.
Okay. And then just the other end view and back view of it.
Good. Any other questions? I'm sorry, did you say when you knew, if you knew when you were coming back?
We haven't talked through the timing of it. Usually we set it based on, I've done a lot of my research that I would normally need for that now, so I'm gonna get a little bit of head start, but definitely would work with Ann to find the right time to
Okay.
be back in front of you folks.
Good. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Would you all sign the site plans?